I never imagined I'd be the one to send our HOA president to jail, but that's exactly how it turned out. It all began 3 months ago when I bought a corner lot in Maple Grove, a charming suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and perfectly manicured lawns. The house was ideal, a big backyard, morning light flooding the kitchen, and just enough space from the neighbors to feel secluded yet still connected. The only catch: Maple Grove came with one of the strictest homeowners associations in the county, presided over by Lorraine Baxter, a woman whose notoriety was the stuff of local legend. Steer clear of Lorraine, my realtor had cautioned with a wince. She's been ruling the HOA for 6 years and runs it like her own fiefdom. I brushed it off with a chuckle. As a civil engineer who thrives on precision and rules, I figured I could handle one overbearing HOA president. How bad could it really be? My first run-in with Lorraine happened just 2 days after I moved in. I was unpacking boxes from my SUV when a sleek black Audi rolled into my driveway. Out stepped a woman in her 50s, her auburn hair styled in a flawless updo, oversized sunglasses resting on her head. Before I could muster a friendly hello, she shoved a thick binder at me. "Welcome to Maple Grove," she said, her smile sharp and insincere. "I'm Lorraine Baxter, president of the Homeowners Association. This is our complete rulebook. I recommend you study it thoroughly." The previous owners struggled to meet our standards. I took the binder, keeping my tone polite despite her frosty demeanor. "Thanks for the welcome. I'm Ethan Carter. I've actually already gone through the digital version my realtor sent, but I appreciate the hard copy." Her eyes flickered with irritation, clearly displeased that I wasn't a complete no VYC. "Well, good. Just so you know, as the corner lot, your property is highly VY-sible and sets the standard for the neighborhood. We'll be keeping a close eye to ensure compliance." With that thinly veiled threat, she spun on her polished heels and strode back to her car. I stood there, binder in hand, wondering what I'd signed up for. It was the first shot in what would soon escalate into a suburban standoff. Over the next few weeks, Lorraine found every excuse to slap violation notices on my door for the pettiest infractions. My trash bin lingered curbside for 30 minutes after pickup. My lawn was supposedly a quarter-inch too long. The charcoal gray mailbox I'd installed was deemed unapproved instead of the sanctioned slate gray. Each time, I quietly fixed the issue and kept meticulous records, sensing I might need EVY denke down the line. The real trouble kicked off when I decided to put up a fence around my backyard. I followed every HOA rule to the letter, height limits, approved materials, color codes, and submitted all the necessary forms. The HOA committee, minus Lorraine, who had to recuse herself since she lived next door, greenlit my plans. I hired a licensed contractor and set a date for the work to begin. The day before construction, I had a surveyor come out to confirm and mark my property lines. He set bright yellow stakes at each corner and sprayed orange lines to outline the boundaries. Everything was ready for the fence crew. At 6 a.m. the next morning, my doorbell buzzed relentlessly. I opened it to find Lorraine, arms folded, her face red with fury. "What is this nonsense?" she barked, while VYing at my backyard. "Those ugly yellow stakes and that hideous orange paint violate HOA Rules Section 12, Paragraph 4. No bright colors or temporary structures VY-sible from shared spaces." I took a steadying breath. "Good morning, Lorraine. Those are standard survey markers placed by a licensed professional yesterday. They're temporary, just for the fence installation the committee already approved. They'll be gone once it's done." Her eyes narrowed as she peered past me. "Your survey's off. That back stake is at least 2 feet into the common green space. I've lived here 15 years, I know where the lines are." "The survey was done with official county records and GPS," I replied calmly. "I can show you the paperwork if you'd like." "I don't need your paperwork," she snapped. "Those markers are an eyesore and the paint's killing the grass. Remove them now, or I'll issue a due lot 200 fine." "I'm sorry, but I can't," I said firmly. "The contractors need them. They'll be here in," I glanced at my watch, "about 2 hours. The project's already approved." Her face twisted with anger. "We'll see about that," she hissed, then stormed back to her house. When the contractors arrived, I filled them in. They double-checked the markers and assured me everything was spot on. We started marking post holes, and by midday, the fence posts were going up along my back line. I had to step out for a work meeting, but the crew promised to finish setting the posts by day's end. When I got home that evening, something felt wrong. The contractor's truck was gone, and a note was taped to my door. Had to stop work. Property markers gone. Need new survey to proceed. Call me Mike. I raced to the backyard. Every stake was missing, and the orange lines had been scrubbed away, vying patchy grass. A pit formed in my stomach as the pieces clicked together. Thankfully, I'd installed discrete security cameras around my property when I moved in, partly to protect my tools, partly because Lorraine's first VY sit had raised red flags. I pulled up the footage on my phone. There she was, in crisp high def. Lorraine Baxter, wearing gardening gloves, toting a big bag, yanking up every marker and scrubbing the paint with a brush and solvent. She stuffed the stakes in her bag and strutted back to her place, smirking like she'd won a prize. I was floored. This wasn't just HOA overreach, it was illegal. In our state, tampering with survey markers is a felony, tied to property record integrity and potential financial harm. A quick online search confirmed it. Hefty fines, possible jail time. The next morning, I called the police non-emergency line and laid out the situation. The officer asked if I had proof. When I mentioned the VY Deo, he said they'd send someone over within the hour. 2 officers showed up at my house. I played the footage, showing Lorraine's every move. One took notes while the other stepped out to make a call. They asked if I wanted to press charges. Given her blatant sabotage and the cost it caused me, I said yes. From my window, I watched them head next door. 10 minutes later, I couldn't believe my eyes. They were leading Lorraine out in handcuffs, her expression a mix of shock and fury as she glared my way. An officer came back later to take my statement. Lorraine had been charged with criminal mischief and tampering with survey markers, serious crimes. She'd been bailed out, but had a court date looming. He said she denied it all until they mentioned the VY Deo, then claimed she was upholding community standards and that the markers were ugly. She was stunned when we told her it's a felony, he added with a wry shake of his head. The aftermath hit fast. The next day, the HOA VYC president called to apologize and said they'd held an emergency meeting. Within a week, Lorraine was ousted as president. But it didn't stop there. As a real estate agent, her license was now at risk due to the charges. Word around the neighborhood was her brokerage had suspended her indefinitely. 2 weeks later, I was tending my front yard when Lorraine's Audi pulled in next door. She stepped out, looking worn, and froze when she saw me. Our eyes locked across the lawn. Her world, her HOA throne, her career, her reputation was crumbling. "You've destroyed me," she shouted, her voice breaking. "All over some stupid markers." I stood tall and met her gaze. "No, Lorraine. You brought this on yourself." Her face fell, the weight of accountability crashing down perhaps for the first time in her reign of neighborhood terror. She turned without another word, slipped into her house, and shut the door with a quiet thud.